So smooth.
All right, tell me when. Oh, too good. I will never be as good as I was before. You guys missed the best intro. Okay. Welcome to OnSet. I am Daniel Norton. This is Erica.
Hi.
Seth over here on the Mighty Mix with the brand new MacBook Air M1 touchscreen. All right. So we're going to talk basic or intro to Flash tonight. Can I do this? I won't be able to do it as good. All right. It was so good the first time. All right. We're rolling it back. So we did this a few months ago. I got a lot of technical questions. So I think last time I just kind of shot a lot of pictures. So we will still shoot pictures because Erica's here. You know, we got to do that. But I want to cover a lot of technical stuff. So please ask questions in the chat if you have them. In about 2 weeks, we're going to do an advanced Flash class. So if you ask something that's too advanced, then that'll be next time. But we're going to go over the basics now. And the first question or the first thought here is always like, why are we even bothering to light or to use Flash at all? So the thing is, photography, you know, with the cameras the way they are now, you can shoot really high ISO. You don't need light necessarily to get an exposure, but lighting is not necessarily about exposure always. It's often about shaping, controlling, setting mood, setting color, controlling shadows, where the light falls. And of all the types of lighting that are available to us, Flash gives us the most control. That's because you get a lot of power in a small package, right? I can shoot with the sun, of course, and have plenty of light. And if I go during certain times of day, I can get the light I want. I can go during golden hour, as they say, if I want that like warm light. I can, if we could ever get anybody up that early in the morning. You're never getting anybody up that early in the morning, just so you know right now. You're not going to do it.
Depends on what you're paying.
That's right. You could go in the middle of the day and shoot with a really harsh light if you want like sportsy stuff and raw. You can do all kinds of stuff, but you're under the you don't have the control over the sun, right? So you have, if you plan on doing a harsh light in the middle of the day and it's cloudy, you don't get that, right? So with Flash or any kind of lighting, you can control that stuff. If you use constant light sources like LEDs and tungsten lights and HMIs, that gives you some manner of control, but you then generally need to darken your space because any light that's in the space is going to affect your shot, usually. So that leaves us with Flash. Flash can kind of compensate from that, for that by being very, like I say, very powerful. Part of it has to do with the way the exposure works. When you make a Flash exposure, the Flash itself is only firing for a very, very brief time. And as long as your camera is set so that none of the rest of the light in the space affects your shot, that will effectively be the only light the camera sees. It'll be your shutter speed, as if you want to think of it like that. And we'll talk about that a little bit more as we go through this. But let's just kind of generally look at things. I'm going to try to say the equipment I use, which won't be much as I go, but if there's something I'm using and you want to know what it is, I will say what it is. So I'm going to actually, I'm going to cheat a little bit, you know, because I like to cheat. This is actually a Profoto B1x, which is a Flash. It's what they call a monolight. So it's a self-contained Flash unit. Meaning that the Flash tube, the capacitors, everything's in this unit. It's also a battery-powered Flash. So this I could take in my hand and walk around and work with. The difference between a monolight, so you got three kinds of flashes. Three? That sounds right? Three kinds of flashes. You've got monolights, which are self-contained, as I just described. You have what are often referred to as pack and head systems, and most people aren't going to see those unless you're doing real high commercial work or using old stuff. And generally in those cases, you've got a head that encloses your Flash tube and some kind of reflector and a fan often. And then there'll be a wire dangling down to a pack on the ground. This is not a battery pack. This is the capacitors for the unit. It's all the controls. You know, it's something like old Normans or Speedotrons, Dynalights, Profoto, Broncolor. They often have these pack systems, but monolights are much, much more popular now, so you're probably going to see those a lot. The third kind of Flash that's really common is going to be what's called a speed light or small flash. This is the kind of flash that you can put on top of your camera. So you could have a monolight. I mean, this is not really that much bigger, right? What makes this a monolight and this a speed light is that this can be fired from the top of your camera. It has a shoe on it. So that's generally your terminologies. You will be tested at the end. Can I do what? Oh, okay. So yes, you will see that we are not wearing masks today. We are all vaccinated. Hey, you should get vaccinated too, and then you can come to the studio.
Yay.
There you go. You've been invited. Seth will not be here when you come. So yes, we are all been vaccinated many months ago. Since March, yes. So we are good to go. When I am working with clients, if anybody has not been vaccinated, of course, obviously we wear masks. But inside this enclosed space with people that we're familiar with, we're able to do it like this. So thank you for your concern. Mom. All right.
So, of course, that's talk about flash, but not necessarily speed lights. Is that due to power?
Right. Well, I'm using flash as a general term. So a speed light will fall into this category. We'll actually use a speed light. So speed light is a flash. Speed lights are generally less powerful. Yeah, they usually have smaller capacitors. There's lots of functions in speed lights usually that you might not get into, not every speed light, but that you might not get into bigger flashes. It's just a different category. We will talk about both, of course. The only thing I'm not going to use is a pack and head system because I don't have one that I want to pull down and it wouldn't really show much difference. But the reason why I say I'm cheating is because this also has a pretty strong LED that can be used as a constant light. So I just want to talk about constant light for a second so we can kind of get into this groove here. If we take this light and I turn on what's effectively the modeling light produces a constant light source. And we can see here, we can see Erica. Let me be back a little bit by the, I know I left a bunch of stuff on the ground. I left a bunch of stuff on the ground because I want to show you guys some. I know, that's okay. I just kick them on. All right, so we can take this and you can face that way. I'm gonna take a picture, right? And I can move this in and we can light her up, right? She's probably looking pretty bright on those cameras. And this is brighter than the light in the space, right? If I were to make a photo, because that's the kind of thing that I do around here. Yeah, that's why I'm here. This is the Nikon Z6 II with the 24 to 70 f4 S lens. I'm going to set my ISO at 100 just because I feel like it. And I'm going to I'm going to open the lens up all the way to f4. This is typically what you would do when you're working in lower light, right? And then I'm going to dial my shutter speed down until I get an exposure that looks correct. So that looks about right to me. Okay. And we're looking at 40th of a second, ISO 100 f4, and it's pretty sharp, right? I'm a pretty sharp guy. But one thing I'll tell you here, like you're looking at this and you're like, well, that's pretty good, right? You made the picture there. But I can tell you right now that all of this in here, the shadow area, is actually being filled in by this space. If we were to use this in the form of a flash, we could get all this shadow dark, in fact, with no light in it. And the advantage of doing that is, again, control, right? We can put whatever light we want. We don't have to, it's not going to be possible with this amount of constant light, and it's pretty close to her, for me to be able to remove the light from the space and give just the flash look that I want. Also, I have no modifier on this, so really we're working with kind of a minimal amount of power. Now, I could turn off all the lights in the space, of course, right? And that's something you can do. And sometimes when people are learning, they feel like a constant light's easier for them because they can see what they're doing. I can turn off all the lights, but that's not always practical in a commercial sense, or when you have clients where they want to turn off all the lights. Like, why are the lights off? Or if you're in a space where you got windows and stuff, right? You just can't do it. So this is where the power of the flash comes in. Even with a small flash like the speed light. Oh, let me just do this. So I can take if I'm going to work with a flash, what I normally do, and you guys probably see me do this if you've seen this before, is I'm going to set my camera before I even put the flash on. I'm going to set ISO 100, right? I'm going to move my shutter speed up to 200th of a second because that is the synchronization speed of my camera. So every camera, I don't know what it is for your camera, you're going to have to look in the book, but every camera will have a sync speed or a synchronization speed. That is the maximum speed that you can set the camera at and make it work with the flash. There is something called high speed sync, and we will talk about that in the next class, but let's pretend that doesn't exist. Once I've set those two things, the lowest ISO and the highest shutter speed, I can then look through the camera. This is a mirrorless camera, so I'm just going to look through it. And I'm going to now adjust my aperture the other direction. I'm going to bring it up to, let's see, I'm going to bring it up to f16. Now, I'm bringing it up to so high because I have this light pointed at it. Well, we're going to get rid of that light in a second. I'm going to take my small flash with TTL capabilities. I'm going to put it on top of the camera. I'm going to look, also I look cooler, right? Like once you have the flash on up, it's like, now it's important because it's a little heavy, so you don't want to hurt your back, so you got to put your elbow right on your little pot belly. That's why I grew this. All right. I'm going to go from this direction so that people can see the difference. And we'll make a shot. Okay. Okay, this became a little dark in the exposure, but generally we can see that I did it from the opposite side on purpose because you can see clearly that we eliminated all that light. I'm not saying it looks pretty, I'm just saying that we eliminated all the light. Right now we're just talking about power, right? This shot at 6.6, which is 3 stops-ish under the maximum power of the flash, so you're looking at like, it's 6.6 out of 10. That's 66% of the power. Okay, no, it's actually not accurate. Okay, so it's actually 3 stops under, so it's half, quarter, eighth. It's about eighth power, the flash. And we can see that we're able to very easily reduce and remove the amount of light in the space. This, again, is the reason why we want to use a flash. And now I can actually shape the light and make it look prettier, of course, and that's what we're going to kind of talk about a little bit as we go. But before I do that, because, again, more technical concerns I just want to speak about, how do you know how much power you have or how much you need, right? This is one of the things I get all the time. How many? I saw this. So there's generally 2 ways that you're going to see flash power explained. One is in watt seconds, or Ron Color says joules, which I think is much cooler. I think more people should use joules because it's like, this light is 200 joules. But, yeah, right? And the other one is guide number. So watt seconds generally refers to the amount of potential that your flash has. So it talks about the amount of energy that can be stored in the capacitors of the flash. It doesn't really have any direct relationship to the actual exposure that you can make with the flash, except that generally the bigger the number, the brighter the flash will be. But you can't necessarily look at something and say 500 watt seconds is this f-stop. It doesn't have any kind of connection there. Guide number, on the other hand, is exactly that. A guide number is based on a distance and an ISO, and it gives you the f-stop that you'll get. And the guide number will be listed generally based on some kind of a reflector. Like this light here, the Profoto B10 has a built-in reflector, so it might be based on that, or they might say with this reflector. And what it'll say is something like guide number 110, 10 feet, ISO 100. And what you do is you just divide the distance by the guide number by the distance rather, and you would know that at 10 feet you can get f11, and that's the maximum power of the light. So that's a more useful, in a way to know how much power there is. But a lot of people are very fixated on the whole watt seconds thing, and they think it somehow has to do with watts and this and that. Not really. I mean, I'm not going to get into all the science of it. I don't even know all the science of it, but I can tell you this: it's not that. Efficiency of the design and the flash tube is way more important than the actual number. You will find units that are 250 watt seconds like this one that are brighter than 500 watt second units from another company because of the efficiency of the way the unit works. So that's where your guide numbers and testing comes in. So just be wary of that. Don't think that just because you see something as 200 and that's bigger than 100 that it's brighter, because it might not be. Okay? I left the most terrible picture of you on there. That's the kind of thing I do. I'm that kind of person. I just leave that terrible picture on there. All right, so.
I know I don't look like that all the time.
No, never. You never look like that. All right, so. That picture is for the person that always comments and is like, well, you can't make a bad picture of Erica. Oh, no, I can. Oh, I can. Believe me, sir. All right.
No reflection on me.
Definitely not. All right, so I mean, why is this picture bad, right? Let's take a look at it for a second.
Well,
Right? It's bad because the light is coming more or less from underneath her, which is generally not natural. It's a very small source, which means it's hard, right? The size of your light determines hardness, softness. And it's also, even though it has this little diffuser cap on it, it's also pretty specular. Specular being that the highlights are popping, right? So we're seeing uneven skin tone, created by the flash, and lots of texture, and shadows go in the wrong direction. So this one, even though the light source is still hard, it's bigger, so we're seeing it's more diffuse, and we're seeing things spread out more. That's why that generally looks better for people. Plus, that's kind of like a Rembrandt light, and Rembrandt always looks good.
always love it.
Like, if you don't know what to do, it's like, just do a Rembrandt light. That's like the... I didn't say anything.
None of us did.
No, I didn't say anything about Rembrandt. No. All right, so let's...
If you had to pick a first light modifier, what would you
Okay, good. That's a very good question. If I had to pick the first light modifier that I would have, what would I pick? That is a perfect segue into exactly what I'm going to talk about.
Great.
All right, a lot of people are going to tell you umbrellas because umbrellas are cheap. But I think that if you want to really learn how to shape light, a softbox is a better option as your first light modifier. Umbrellas generally throw the light everywhere, and that makes them awesome for that. But if you want to start really coming in and shaping and kind of maneuvering your light around, the softbox is going to give you a lot more options, especially if you add things like grids to them. So typically, if you're adding your first modifier to a studio style flash or mono light, something like that, you're going to want something like this. This is a 2 foot by 3 foot softbox. This happens to be the OCF softbox by Profoto. It says right on the side by Profoto. You know, there's lots of people that make softboxes. This one's all right. It's all right.
I love a softbox.
Yeah. So why a softbox? If we notice, you got these little edges here. This is basically helping us control the spread of our light. I mean, it's still going to go flying, right? A softbox is not a laser. It doesn't just shoot the light forward like this. It's going to spread out, but that's going to help us kind of control the edges of it. And it also allows us to fit a grid in there, which I'll talk about in a minute. So if we take our softbox and we put it on here. So let's talk a minute about how we make the flash work. Okay, I did a quick shot with the little flash, and I threw out a term, TTL, because, you know, the most important thing as a photographer is to just throw out like random terms like TTL and Rembrandt and long lighting and short lighting and medium lighting. Inverse square law, right? So TTL means through the lens. It's weird, right?
Weird.
Through the lens.
Yeah.
But really, it means through the lens metering, usually. That's the important part. What TTL is doing is it's using your camera's meter. So if you have been shooting with your camera and you understand how to use your camera as far as light is concerned, just think of it the same way. But think of the flash as your light source. So if you know that, like, oh man, if I put my subject against bright windows and I use my meter on my camera, they might be underexposed. Well, TTL will do the same thing. If the background's super bright, it might underexpose your flash. So these are things we have to consider, and we will adjust as we go. But most of your modern flash systems either have built into them or available to them some kind of a radio system. If you have something that's older, you might actually run a wire directly from your flash to your camera. But I'm going to use radio system because, you know, I'm a baller.
What's the difference in modifiers, like price points and manufacturers? Like, what are people looking for?
Okay, so what's the difference between modifiers? Like, why are you paying more for one, or why would you choose one over another? Generally speaking, the more you pay, not always, but generally speaking, the more you're paying for something, it's because the materials are going to be better. Better meaning that they're going to last longer, they're going to stay true to color longer, they're going to be consistent. So if you buy, let's say, a softbox for $25 on eBay versus a nice like Chimera softbox for $200 from Adorama, which link below. No, I don't. Maybe there's a link. I don't know. I'm pointing below. It's not going to last. You know. If you only have the $25 and you need a softbox, sure, go for it. But there's reasons why, you know, certain pieces of equipment are more expensive. Sometimes they're expensive because they're very uncommon. Like a beauty dish is going to be expensive in almost any brand because the beauty dish is not the most common modifier, even though photography forums would probably have you think otherwise. But, you know, it's a pretty specialized piece of equipment. So they don't sell as many, they got to charge you more. Have a little sip of my coffee here. So a decent softbox, and this is like Profoto's like inexpensive version of the softbox, the OCF. What you're not getting in this one, for instance, is this doesn't come off, this front panel, right? So I can't pull this off. Normally it is double diffused though, so there's a piece of diffusion inside and also the front panel, but you can't take this front panel off. Whereas like my Chimera softbox, that's, you know, that I don't have out, you can remove either one of the panels.
Talk about consistency amongst the brands, like
Right, and consistency, right. So consistency is super important, right? If you were to, like, let's say, pick up your eBay softbox, and then you went and you, in fact, I can tell you an actual story, an actual eBay story. actually, it was the A company that we're not allowed to mention. I bought these color during the last year when we were doing a lot of live streaming at home. I bought these color LED lights that changed color because I was like, well, I don't need a professional light for that. I'm just putting it on my wall behind me. And I was like, oh, this is pretty good. Didn't burn my house down.
Perfect.
Which is, pretty much what I wanted. Kind of worked. I was like, I'm going to get another one. I ordered it from the same seller, same price, same picture. It came. It was a different light with a different remote. I mean, it looked similar, but it wasn't the same light. So now I have to have two different remotes for the same light, which is, if I had bought from like a higher end company or whatever, it would have been consistent. It would have worked together. The same is true with anything. If I buy a softbox from cheapo eBay dude, the likelihood that the two softboxes are going to be exactly the same color, and what I mean by that is like they look white, of course, the fabric, but over time they're going to yellow at different speeds. One might have a weird tint to it. This is just what you get with cheap stuff. So that's the reason why none of this some or all of this or none of this might matter to you. So if you're just starting out and you just want to start shooting, it probably won't matter, but you'll have to replace it and just know that. Okay, softbox. Should we take a picture?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to take a picture. We're going to use TTL. So, all right, a lot of times people think that TTL is automatic. You can't use automatic. Oh my God, I read in the book that if you use automatic, you're not a professional. Oh, okay. I don't know what to say about that. A book. Somebody is walking around with that stupid shirt that says, real photographers shoot manual, and that person's not really a photographer. All right, so. All right, so my camera is in manual. There you go. That's the one that switches with the camera. You don't want that on. Okay.
We're back?
We got it. Little audio.
As soon as I went to the Z50, the audio cut off.
That's right. Yeah. That's all right. Nobody hears what I say anyways. Guys, I gave the best speech ever. It was so enlightening.
I switched over as soon as you moved the light.
No, I know, yeah. It would have changed your life, what I said there. Yeah. It would have changed your life. Okay, so this, you know why? Because you just had bad luck and I was plugging you. This is the Profoto A10. I'm going to use it as a remote to fire this light. So I'm not going to use this as a flash. It's going to simply be a remote. If you want to know more about this flash, Seth did a great video on it on Adorama TV. So
now everything goes on fire.
right. It was my other speech was much better. Okay, so I'm going to come in here. I'm going to turn the head off, right, and I'm going to turn so it doesn't fire. But I'm going to leave the air on, so this should then work as a remote. Nope. Clearly, I have no idea how to do this. I am killing it.
I'm here, I feel like.
Honestly, I haven't done this switch for you in a month.
Yeah.
So
Hold on.
you need help on me, okay?
Nice. No, it didn't.
Is that one firing?
No, it's that one's fine. The on-camera flash is fine.
Yeah, but this one's not, right?
No.
I am good at this. Is that on channel?
Air's off in this. That's that's
Oh, the air is off in that one because I didn't want it to fire earlier when I was doing the other thing. All right, so I did it right. I just did it wrong earlier. Okay, hold on. That should fire, right? And then if I go to C.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Nope. All right, so now I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to turn off C, which is this guy. I should just use the remote. I never use the flash as a remote, by the way. There we go. Okay. So you can see the flash is firing, but not this one. I totally did that. All right. We're in TTL. We're at 5.6.
Stop looking at that camera.
Which one am I looking at? This one?
Yeah.
5.6. 200th of a second. 100 ISO. I'm going to put this behind like this so you don't think it's doing anything. You can see if it fires.
It's incorrect.
We're going to frame it up. Boom. It feels good. I felt it. Oh, it's so...
What if you don't have a diffuser or box?
What if I don't have a diffuser on this?
What if you don't have a modifier?
What if you don't have a modifier? Well, you should probably get one. No, you can actually do other things. We'll talk about that in a second. Well, let me just work with the softbox. Okay, so we can see now the difference, right? This is essentially, by the way, about the not having a modifier question, except for the fact that you would pick up, less light in the room, it would look like that, right? So we can see the difference here, right? This is not picking up any of the light in the room, so all the shadows are dark, right? And because the light is soft and diffuse, we have this beautiful light wrapping across, or we can control the light in the space. Now, I have it more or less kind of level with her. What you want to do with light generally is have it come more or less from above, because, the sun.
Right. Makes sense?
Yep. Let's bring it up. All right, it's up. Somebody is going to tell you in some book somewhere or some YouTube video there's an exact distance, whatever. That won't be me. All right, we're going to raise it up. Cool. All right. And there we go. And now we're shaping the face. She's looking like a bad mamma jamma. Yeah.
What metering do you use?
I'm using matrix, sorry, because the thing. Matrix metering. So I'm using matrix metering, which is like kind of Nikon's special metering that meters the whole scene and is like, maybe there's somebody in the middle of the thing. So the general metering. I don't use spot metering. I know people say to use spot with TTL, but I don't like using spot metering unless I have to. If I'm having a lot of issues, or if I'm photographing something very small in the scene, I'll use spot metering. But for a portrait, I always leave it on matrix. Plus, I like to say matrix. It seems really cool. It's like the matrix metering. Okay, but let's say this is beautiful, right? You're like, oh, Daniel, that's so nice. Oh, look at that stuff. What if I didn't have any modifiers? Here I am. I came all the way to the studio today. I left my softbox at home, or I was driving on the highway, and, I've got like one of these convertible cars, without the roof.
Blew it away.
Blew right out the back.
Horrible.
Yeah. I had it on the seat next to me. Didn't put a seatbelt on. It flew right out, right? Now I don't have my softbox anymore. Or maybe some tiny people use it as a tent. Let's just say I don't have it anymore. I'm walking off the scene. What we want to do is make the light big if we want to get it to be soft. Let's assume that that's what we're going for, right? Now I can just use it like this, which I will do. And we know through previous encounters with Erica that hard light works well for Erica. So this is going to look good. This is not, as good as it can possibly look. It's not going to look good on everybody, that's for sure. Right? So that's, boom, right? That's what it's going to look like with nothing. We've got this hard light. We've got this shadow here. It's not quite Rembrandt-y, right? But it's real dark. Once again, we've got these highlights coming up. This is not the soft, gentle, calming light that you would get, on a weekend vacation near the stream with like the trout swimming by and stuff. And we want that, right? We want that trout look. So we need to make our light bigger. There's lots of ways to do that.
Just do it to the ceiling. Why are you going to do that?
Ceiling.
What are you doing?
All right, fine.
Fix the kitchen in here.
All right, well, most of you will be inside some kind of a structure when you're making a portrait. So you could use the ceiling or the roof, depending on where you're from, right?
What? People say roof?
Well, the roof is really the outside part, but some people call the interior part of the roof. You've never heard roof?
No.
It's like that song.
Short pants.
The roof, short pants. It's the roof, or if you're from certain parts of the country.
It's the root word, it's the short pants.
They're right. Short pants is what they are. All right, so I do say short pants. You know, I know. Well. Yes, I mean, but I don't wear short pants because I'm an adult. All right, so. All right.
What are you trying to say, Dan? You can't even say shorts correctly. You're going to judge me?
Wow.
So.
You're going to be nice.
All right, so if I were to point the light directly at the ceiling.
There's a lady present, you guys. Be
That's
nice
right.
to each other.
I can fill the room with light. However, the light is relatively close to her, so we're likely going to get a bit of an overhead vibe, you know.
Let's see.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful. That looks exactly like if you went and took a picture of her in an office or something. You're like, oh look, that looks absolutely great. All right, so, but why, right? We talk about this. We want to control the space. So I got rid of the bad light, the bad light, and created my own bad light, right? We want to have good direction to our light, so we don't want it to be coming from directly above. There happens to be a wall of. Is it okay to say wall? Do people say wall?
We say wall.
Okay, right? I could bounce it off the wall, right?
Instead, I guess we say roof of mouth instead of ceiling of mouth.
That's true. You do say the roof of your mouth. That's a good one.
Well, and the roof is on fire.
Fire,
Yeah.
that's
Come on.
Yeah, because
The roof is-
The roof, not the ceiling.
Well, no, the roof is on the
Go
outside.
save yourself with a better photo, Dan, quick. You really think you shoot like that?
Well, it's okay. All right, there we go. This is now flat, right? So I've now bounced the light off the wall in front of me. This is that flat light look, which a lot of people like. People like that, right?
I guess.
No, she likes a little shape to it. But if you want that look, you're kind of like, huh.
Very LinkedIn, you know?
Yeah, it's very LinkedIn,
Yeah.
boring. I mean, you know, you can be boring. It's okay. We like that. So we can just bounce it, right? There's lots of things we could do. If you don't have any proper modifiers, I mean, you should really just buy an umbrella. Umbrellas. They're so cheap. I don't know what to say. Like, 'cause whoever asked that question, I will send you an umbrella, right?
You can buy them used for $10.
Let me just buy.
Yeah.
Okay, right? Because
I'll buy you for an
you can literally buy an umbrella for like $5 to $10. But for maybe slightly less money, I'll sell you this stained piece of cardboard.
You're the one that wrecks my boards. Like, what are you making jokes about?
Okay, so the problem with both of these setups earlier was that we're not really controlling the distance of where it goes, right? So I can bounce it off this wall. That's just super flat. I mean, that's also a little underexposed. I should probably, to be fair, this can look pretty all right if we go like this. I'm just going to grab my exposure, you know, fix it in post kind of thing.
You're trying to light it.
Yeah.
Just fix it.
We can go like that. Go like that. Add a little contrast. There we go. People are liking this now. They're like, oh, wow, that's so much better, Daniel. Look at that. Oh, wow. Oh, it's so good. Okay, but you know, you can do that. But the light's so far away, we don't have a lot of control. If I use this board, which, you know, it's, we can bounce the light off and create direction to the light. So let's try that. It's just the first one I could find. So, God, it's always criticizing me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you deserve it.
Yeah. So,
How do you get it?
Alright, on the Z50.
okay, I'm just trying to see. I'm going to do some tests. Some tests here to make sure. Right? So you guys don't hold it against me. All right. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to take this guy. Never before attempted on Adorama TV. Oh, hold on. There we go. Capture one automatically carries over the settings, so I just reset that one so we don't get weird settings. Oh, all right, here we go. I'm going to bounce the light. Drum roll, please. Oh, right, now we have shape again. Right? And you know, with some finesse, we could make it look a little better. But essentially, if you don't have any modifier, bounce the light off stuff. It could be anything. It could be this white shirt. Is that your shirt?
Sure. No, it's not my shirt. I don't know.
All right, here we go. All right. Whose shirt is this? Did you leave this shirt here? I don't know. All right, so let's say, hold that for me. This is never before attempted. It's not even 6 o'clock yet. All right. Hey guys, we better get some likes if this works. Is that how you get the likes?
That's how we get the likes.
All right, good. All right. And subscribes. So let's say that you have to make a corporate portrait, and you show up, and this guy's got this white shirt, you know, an extra one, obviously. You don't want him to take his shirt off. Yeah, he had a blue one and a white one. And you're like, oh, well, I didn't bring any equipment, even though you brought 2 shirts. So let me. Okay. All right. So we're gonna... What do you think? Is it going to work?
Maybe.
It might, actually. I might do that as well. This is also be a diffuser. We're going to do both. Is this your shirt?
Does it look like my shirt?
Yes.
It's got buttons on it.
It's definitely, it's J. Crew. It's got to be so.
It's got to be said.
That was from someone's corporate portrait. Are you kidding me?
I apologize to the people I shared the studio with. All right, here we go. I don't apologize. All right. Never apologize. All right, so I now have the white J. Crew shirt, size extra large. Extra large. It's yeah, all right, here we go. We could have you wear that as a dress. All right, here we go. I gotta tell you, that's not bad.
It's actually not bad.
That is not bad. That is not terrible. Now, I'm gonna, hold on. We can see the shirt in her eyes.
That's amazing. Honestly, I want that forever.
And that's not terrible, right? Now, notice, by the way, all right, well, you're gonna have to help me if you want that. All right, so take a look at the color of this. Because this is, you know, I know that it looks like we're just having fun, but this is not fun, no. But look at the color. Look at how warm and delicious her skin tone is on the left. And here we've got this J. Crew shirt. That's what you're gonna get with your $35 eBay softbox, right? That's what we mean. I mean, this is like, it was going somewhere. It was going, you knew it was going somewhere. You didn't think it was just, what do you want to do with the arm?
Take that arm, stretch it lateral, and use it to keep the shirt off so you get distance flush.
All right, hold on.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
If anybody knows how to do a shirt, shirt
no,
softbox.
like keep it on that, and then put the bottom of the shirt on this, face the light that way, so it makes like a.
I don't understand.
Put it on, put it back on.
Okay.
I don't know why we're doing this.
Well, because it's awesome.
Everybody has a white shirt.
That's right. Everybody does have a white shirt.
Push it that way.
All right, here we go. Oh, I see what you're doing.
You know what I'm saying? So this gets pitched out to here. We put a clamp on it, and then this becomes the distance, and it keeps it.
All right.
Right?
Yeah, I think so. So you need a clamp. This is really elaborate and awesome.
For no reason.
For no
reason.
I know. I'm feeling it.
It's a lot cheaper to use an umbrella.
Yeah.
This was not planned. I think everyone should know.
I wonder if we like clamp it this way.
Yeah, that seems better.
Find a white shirt.
We gotta keep this white shirt.
I know.
I don't wear it as a dress.
We're
I
about to
apologize.
get a comment of like,
Yes.
you just wrecked my shirt.
All right, we got this. We got this. Oh, wrong camera. We got this.
Give me-
Here we go. Here we go.
Wait, give me a clamp with some rubber on it so I'm not wrecking somebody's. Oh, nice.
I don't have any rubber.
Nice.
I don't know what clamps have rubber on them.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Dave, you want to get on the switch, please?
we're putting Dave on the switch. I don't know where we are anymore.
I don't know where
Let's
we
go
are.
on. Let's go on this camera. Okay, all right, here we go. Okay, so here we are, right? You asked the question. What do you do if you don't have any equipment? This is what you do.
This is not great.
You know, when I was in high school, This is what I do with my white shirts. And some light bulbs.
This is gonna get messy.
Yeah, I think we're killing somebody's shirt.
It's okay.
Don't worry, guys. If
Well,
anybody asks you,
for a new J. Crew shirt.
if anybody asks you if you saw this shirt get ruined, you did not see it. We are in this together at this point.
I'm not gonna ruin it.
You know what I'm saying?
Everything can be dry cleaned.
I think I know.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, there we go. That's pretty good,
I
except
thought I could have done off of this though, but I guess not. Right?
no. Oh! Ouch!
It's fine. Profoto.
Oh,
It's Profoto. It's all right.
wow! You heard that thing go down.
Yeah, you really did.
My God.
Because you've never trashed any of my stuff before.
No, I've definitely dropped Seth's. Remember, I dropped the
Yeah.
first video we ever did, I dropped his SB800, and you just looked at me and you were like, "You just dropped my SB800."
Did you? I don't remember.
And I said, and it was in the stairway, and I said, "Well, at least I didn't drop it down the stairs."
It was like, yeah, okay. So, this
Alright.
is your softbox, I guess, right?
All right, this is it. This is going to be much better.
Let me drop this.
A wicked shadow?
You think?
I don't.
How
You
much?
think I'm gonna get that?
I don't think so. Maybe. The arms are pretty cool, though.
Yeah, like I'm trying to put tension on it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's really good. Except she's way taller than that.
So we have to look both.
Yeah, we gotta go up in the air. Erica's like a giant. I mean, you guys may not have met Erica before in person. Oop, why is this okay?
Yeah, I'm actually 6 foot tall.
Yep.
Wow, is this stuck or what? Okay.
All right, this is
that
good.
how tall you want to do it?
Yeah, I think so. We gotta get it up high.
Okay.
Well,
That's pretty good. It's like a reverse scarecrow.
I was thinking that it looked like a scarecrow. That's
Yeah.
so weird.
What do you think of like? This is absolutely
this is
zany.
ridiculous.
This is the best thing I've ever done in my life, guys. This is it.
Not an intro to Flash. This is some dumb stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what happened here. We're just gonna cut this part in the edit.
Everybody gets fired.
I mean, you basically have a 1 foot softbox.
Yeah, we got it. Come forward. Listen, what's the worst case scenario? It doesn't look good?
Okay.
This is gonna be so bad.
This is good. This is good. I'm feeling it.
It's really
Oh, yeah, that looks just like Monster Off the Wall. Okay, good. I mean, to be honest, you look a little bit like
what?
Give it more kick. Just give it more juice.
more juice.
But you see the background,
I know.
I'm trying to think of the model that you look like from the 80s.
A model from the 80s that's so nice.
I know, right?
They were all really pretty.
I know, all the models from the 80s are. All right, I'm going to turn the light up a little bit.
I mean, that's actually not bad like for a headshot.
Yeah, it's not terrible, it's just flat.
It's fun.
Listen to all the effort we went through.
We've come too far.
It got, oh, all right, hold on, let me go to manual. All right, I'm switching to manual because sometimes TTL just gets a little goofy.
I'm sorry, I'm like literally gonna laugh.
Stupid
Can you
things.
see me almost laugh so
I don't know what's happening here.
How did you fall?
I'm just going to apologize right now, people. It's great.
Specular. That's why.
It's super specular. Yeah, it's all the starch. Don't starch your J. Crew shirt.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It's funny. You can
It's not the worst thing I've ever seen when somebody uses a J. Crew shirt to make a thing.
Or maybe just because I'm perfect. You never know.
Yeah, it could be. You can't take a bad picture, Erica. We are proving that wrong. I think that needs to be the name of the next.
Can't take a bad picture of Erica.
For the record, you're the one that brought it in.
Yes, I did. All right.
I'm really glad to have gone on an adventure with you guys.
That was really fun. Okay, so what does that teach us? Buy an umbrella. I mean, honestly though, I hope whoever asked that question about what do, you can make it work. I mean, one of the best ways to learn lighting is just to mess with things, right? We see there's a white shirt. We see that my original concept of bouncing it was the best, but shooting through could also work if we didn't care about wrinkling it up. And yeah, well, let's use some actual modifiers because I feel like that's the better way to do it.
Cool.
All right, let's go back to where we were.
We survived that. That's great.
We survived that. It wasn't even 6 o'clock, guys. We were already getting down to the. I got to tell you, Off the Wall is not terrible.
No, I don't think they're that bad, honestly.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for the weird color.
Is that the
Yeah.
one with the shirt?
Yeah, that's with the shirt.
That's easy. Like for a commercial headshot or for
Yeah.
a theater headshot, that's totally fine.
See, she's
Heard
fine with
here.
it.
You heard it here.
Erica's fine with that.
I'm
So,
fine.
you know, you show up, you know, she shows up at your studio to get a
You have a
headshot.
white shirt?
And you have a white shirt.
Perfect.
You're golden. I recommend to only do it if they have 2 shirts. Don't be asking them to take their shirt off because people don't like
We
that.
run into trouble there.
All right, so let's look at some other shapes of softboxes because I get asked this a lot as well. This is what's often called a strip box. It is 1 foot by 3 foot, so generally skinnier than it is long. These are going to be good because, again, your light spreads out, right? This is going to give you a narrow base to start with, so it's a little bit easier to control where the light falls. But it's still tall, so it still has a soft vibe, right? So we can use this in a similar way when we want to control the light. Oftentimes you might use this as like a secondary light source, like a kicker, like to separate the hair. But this is a good box to have eventually. I wouldn't necessarily jump at it right away. This is an octagon shaped box with a grid. This black thing in the front is a grid or an egg crate. What that does is it narrows the spread of the light. So if we are shooting with a softbox and we assume that it has about 180, 160, 180 degree spread, like the light's coming out like this, right? The grid is going to narrow it. In this case, I think to 25 or 40. It usually says on it 50. So from 180-ish to 50. That's pretty good, right? We're going to narrow the spread of the light, which is going to allow us to put our light in more places and not worry about it hitting things we don't want it to hit. The shirt, that's got like the spread on the shirt is like ridiculous. Like it's all over the place, right? So if we look at the difference between using somebody's shirt and a 3 foot Octa. Now I'm just going to say that if the shirt picture is better, we might be in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not ready for it.
That was a really bad color.
Yeah, that has a weird color cast. It's probably because of the starch. It's just like, well, if you look at it compared to what your skin actually looks like, you just look very like magenta peach. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I also like really new contacts.
It doesn't look terrible. But it's not correct.
Not correct. Well, let's do it correct.
All right, this is bad. This is wrong.
What?
Oh, the softbox is facing the wrong way. All right. Oh, because we were bouncing the light. I'm like, why was it backwards? All right. Okay, this is our 3 footer. What this is gonna go right close to the background. So by using the grid, we're going to be able to control the spread of light better, right? So if we put it close to the background, we're going to be less likely to have light. It's not going to keep all the light off the background, probably, but it will do a decent job controlling that.
Would you do me a favor and do it this way so I can tell it's a grid?
Sure. One of the cool things about lighting is you can light from either side.
It's just easier to me. It's like 1,000 times.
Yeah. The most important thing when you're lighting is to aim the lights in such a direction that the audience can see the lights. If they don't see the lights, they won't know what's going on. Okay. This is an advanced technique called kneeling down. I know.
When you get to that part of your career where you can't do it.
All right. All right. Now we're looking at mood, right? We can see here how we've got bits of kind of vignette stuff going on because the light is kind of more enclosed with the grid, with the less of a spread. It's coming down. We still have that almost Rembrandt-y feel with the nice even exposure across our face because it's a large light source, so it's still soft. And there you go. That's that, right? That looks pretty good. That's a grid. Gives you some vibe. Let me show you what it looks like without the grid. You love that in the microphone. This is an advanced technique to leave this dangling here. It's called bearding the grid. So if you beard the grid, it'll just stay there. So I just made that up. That's pretty good though, right? That's pretty good. I mean, that's what it looks like, right? I mean, it could look, I mean, or like a tongue, I guess. Good. There we go, right? A little bit hot, but overall, you can see the difference. Let me just drop the exposure a smidge. I actually, I was in manual, yeah. All right, so well, we can see the difference in the spread, right? I made her her skin tone roughly the same just by dropping my exposure. and we can see how there's a difference in the spread of light. You still get this little slice here, because that's the edge of my octagon. So let me go here and put us back in TTL. Cool. All right, so flash is going to allow us to control the light, right? It's going to keep us where we can light where we want it to be. I can put the light on this side. I can put the light on that side. I can use a shirt. I can use a proper softbox. I can use the roof. In any case, I can do exactly, I'll use that shirt. In any case, I can do whatever type of lighting pattern that I want, because the flash is allowing me to control my space. That's really the key here. And we don't need to have a lot of lights to do a lot of different things, right? We have the one softbox. We can use, let's do a reflector. So I'll show you just a very basic lighting. Since this is intro, I won't get too fancy. Are there any other questions that require nothing?
They're debating whether they like the shirt or not.
The shirt is pretty fresh. It's not funky fresh.
I mean, the thing is, like, you've done this demo for like 7 years.
Yeah.
There's a 7 variations of this thing in like 1 year.
That's right.
We're just trying to keep it.
Oh, I got a light from the side. Okay, so let's go back to the traditional softbox, because I said, you have it on record that I said that for your first modifier, that's what I would recommend. So let's start there. Let's take the 2 foot by 3 foot softbox. That's a certain number of meters by a certain number of meters. Centimeters, actually. Well, I mean meters if you can use the decimals. You could use the decimal system. All right. So I'm going to put my. Now I should point out too, these Profoto lights like the B10 have this flat front. They've got a tremendously wide spread of light. There is this thought that in order to get the maximum use out of a softbox, you need to have a light with a bare tube sticking forward. That's not necessarily the case. These, in a large-ish softbox like this, the spread is plenty to fill the entire softbox. That's really what you're concerned about. If you're unsure, you can throw on your modeling light and just make sure that you're getting complete coverage. Like if we look at this, we can see the whole front of this is being covered. It's plenty of spread. If you had a hot spot in the center, then you know you're kind of not getting what you need out of the softbox. Okay, so we've got this. I'm going to raise it again a little bit high, right? The book says about, nose high to be somewhere between the nose and the chin and the face and also the legs. So you move this in. We wanted to put it above the person's head, right? And we want to make sure that we're getting the coverage that we want. I'm basically shooting a small part of her body, so I'm not concerned that the bottom half's falling off to darkness. I can see that she looks excellent, as always. So let's look at a few things here. Let's start with a TTL. That was good. No charge for that one. Let's start with the TTL exposure. Boom. Okay, it's a little on the dark side because I think I set the TTL at dark. Okay, hold on. Let me go back. I got to reset everything again. This was an A. Oh, I just took another picture of the floor for some reason. Okay, I think I'm good. This is an A, right? Yes, it is. Okay. All right, let's get a shot. If you don't get the exposure that you want with TTL, I'll show you how to adjust it. Okay. All right, that looks dark. That looks very dark. I get all you people watching and nobody tells me that I left the stupid exposure on from the thing. Come on. All right. All right, so it does look a little bit dark. So we're going to grab our exposure slider and move it over to where we like it, which is right there. We're going to look at that and I'm going to go, that's about 1/3 of a stop. And I'm going to come into my light and I'm going to dial my light in. Do I prefer Capture One over Lightroom? Yes. Absolutely, even though I pay for Lightroom. Well, I pay for the entire suite, so I have Lightroom, but as you know. Okay, that looks pretty good. Pretty good. I like this kind of darky vibe to it. Maybe I'll go a little bit brighter. You guys like it brighter, I can tell. I know what the people like.
Give the people what they want
We got to give them what they want.
on this funky pink dress.
Okay, so I'm at like 5.7 on here. There we go. All right. So I'm in manual now. We can see we have nice light coming across, nice and crispy, right? She's got that square catch light, so anybody looking at this will be automatically assume that there's a window there, right? And she's not being lit by the sun. We've got a nice kind of steel gray background going on. And that all looks good. But let's say that we want to fill in a little bit in the shadows. Maybe they're a little bit much for us. We can do that pretty easily by using a reflector board. Should I use one of her sets? Can I? Right here. Can I use one of your boards? Which board should I use? The bronze one? Yeah, I do. Is that copper?
There's copper and gold on the same board.
Wow.
All right.
World premiere.
For those of you who've got $645 to spare, Seth makes these. They're organic, fully organic. What are they, sprayed? You made a video of this, right? On Seth's channel, you can watch him make this, which is basically more than I would do on a weekend. I mean, not watch the video, make these. I just come back in here and they're already here for me. This is bronze. I think that'll look good on you.
Copper.
Copper. It is copper. It's not bronze, because bronze is an alloy of copper and nickel. Is that correct, Dave? Right? What's bronze? Bronze is an alloy of copper and nickel? Yeah, I think so. Oh, look at that.
Warm shadow.
Warm shadow. Oh, that's pretty cool, actually.
It's supposed to like mimic wood floor reflection. You know what I mean?
Oh, so should I put it low? All right, it's supposed to be make like a wood floor, so let's put it down here. I'll still get some light on that, I think, yeah.
Everyone just said the prices were up for that board, huh?
Well, these are the special ones. There we go.
It didn't really hit.
No, not really. I'm just trying to get a little bit. Okay, so if it's supposed to have a wood floor feel, well, before we do that, let's do gold because, you know,
Gold, yeah, that gold is yellow, yeah.
we're going full on gold. What do we think? Oh, look at that. I raised it up a little bit just to get a little bit of like upper highlight. No, gold is definitely not your color.
Yeah, that gold is
No gold on your skin. The gold is nice for the jewelry, but not on the skin. I think the copper is better for you.
Okay,
Copper
now
tone?
we
Now we know.
There.
So let's try to make this copper work. So why are we not getting it where we want it? Well, I want to put it underneath to get a floor feel, but the light is going this way, right? So I need to tip my light.
Tipper.
Tippity-doo-dah, tippity-dee. Okay, a little sandbag action. Although, if you are going to drop a light on a model, you should always drop a softbox because
It's soft.
it's soft. Exactly.
I never even touched it.
Yeah. Well, this is how we find out if stuff works. Seth makes awesome stuff, and I use it. Okay. Oh yeah, that's definitely working. I can see it.
So I couldn't, they used to make it, and they stopped making the paint no more.
It might be too much. Oh yeah, no, I like it.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's supposed to have like that wood table.
Yeah, it's got like a little kick, just a little bit down in the shadows. Just
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah. Yeah, not bad.
Not bad. There you go. Pretty cool. You know, I'm surprised it's not more reflected. Let's just go with white.
Is that a silver one?
I mean, most people are not going to have that. So let's just go with a white reflector board. Let's see if we can get some shadow fill. Good. There we go. Now we've got shadows filled in. We can see here. So you got a window and then, you know, a refrigerator, a washing machine, right? And she's nice and filled in, nice and even, right? So we can get some shape, because what's going to happen is you could put your light in the center, which I often talk about doing, or you could do a really flat light, like bouncing off the wall. But if you shape your light from one side, it'll feel a little bit more kind of real in the space. And then we can just control shadow density with our reflector. And you can essentially do it by putting the reflector and then moving it in and out to get as much fill or as little fill as you want. Like there's just a little bit of fill, right? Little fill. Better than that negative fill. That guy's a jerk. All right, so it's also super important to always make sure you have the edge of the paper. It's the shot. Now, there is a third kind of fill. I'm doing it. On-access fill. Da, 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 da.
I know your track record.
All right. Let's say that you're too cool to use reflectors. And you've got a $1,000 flash on top of your camera. So you're like,
This is backhanded.
all right, I'm going to turn this guy back on. All right.
I think you have to like explain that flash.
Okay. Yeah, I'll explain it. Okay. Okay. This is the. What do you want to explain? What? There's $1,000.
Now it's active. That's a nice.
Oh yes. Oh, I will. Oh, that's actually pretty cool.
They're not seeing it, so move forward.
Oh.
No. Move forward with the demo.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh.
Switching to a photo before. Jesus.
I like it. Okay. So, up to this point, remember, I turned this flash off and made it just a transmitter. Now I've also set it up so it should fire. Yeah, little lens flare action, you see that? So now, I'm going to use these two flashes together. This is my key light, and this is going to give me my main exposure. This is going to be my fill, and because it's on the same plane as the camera, it's coming from the same direction, it's called on axis. What that's going to mean is that instead of throwing, if it throws any shadows at all, it should throw them directly behind her, so we should fill in the shadows nice and even. Now, I'm just going to put it in TTL, because that's never failed me. And let's just take a shot. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. Hold on. There we go. There we go. There we go. Boom. All right. All right. It's flat. What we want to do, though, is make this our primary light. When we fire both lights together in TTL, it's just making them all kind of the same. It doesn't know what we want, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into my controller here. This is in group C. I'm going to go to C, and I'm going to turn it 2 stops down.
Can you just clarify that that's only the speed light?
This is the speed light.
That shot is only the speed light.
Right.
Tell them that.
No, it's not, though. That was both lights.
That was both lights.
Yep. Yeah, speed light just overpowered it. Okay, so now I'm going to fire. Both lights are fire. This was much less power. It actually, because I was in TTL, it actually dropped the power down to 3.5 because it didn't need the power, right? It doesn't know which one is the primary light. It's like, I don't know what you want me to do. What do you want me to do, Daniel? I'm just so -2 to this guy. Let's see what we get. I feel like we're probably going to have to switch to manual, but let's just keep going. Okay, a little bit better, right? We can start to see now. We still have this like kind of hard shadow, but we can see now that it's starting to get a little bit of shape here. We can start to see the beginnings of that shadow, right? What we don't really want is a shadow from this. So I'm going to switch to manual, and I'm going to turn my C light down all the ways to the bottom, which is 2 power basically. And when I do that, I know that this is going to be really dark. So I'm going to take my A light and I'm going to dial this one up to compensate. At this point, we're going to make a shot and we're going to see where we're at, and then we will adjust. I'm doing this a little different than I normally do it, guys, because I thought it'd be good to kind of walk through this process. That is way too bright. A light.
Oh wait, did you change the setting on capture 1?
No.
Okay. That's
No, I just, yeah.
-2.
Bad math. Math is hard. There we go. Now, we've got our key light. Looks like a little window, right? And then we have this little tiny light right there. which is like your grandma's pop-up flash on her little camera. And she's nice and filled in. The shadow is not dark, and we have shape to it. And we can adjust. I think the whole exposure is a little bit bright. So I can either turn both flashes down, or I will actually, at this point, I know this is one of those things I don't usually do, but I'm just going to dial the camera up. I'm going to go to f7.1. I want to make sure that background's dark. There we go. So I'm at 7.1 now. We can see that we've got shadow on her face, but it is filled in by the small flash on axis. Ta-da! Okay. Normally people are like throwing roses at me during this part of the thing. There's no roses here anymore, isn't? Yeah, what can we do? So this is also, by the way, something that you would call an active fill, right? Meaning that we can control how much fill we get from the small flash as we go. When you're looking at your flashes, you just have to think about, a lot of times people ask me like what ratio, but the exact ratio that you use between your main light and your fill light, it's going to change depending on who you're photographing. You want to just kind of play with it a little bit. You want your shadows to give you some shape and some texture, but you don't want them so dark that you can't see anything inside of them generally. I'm actually going to move to f8, and I'm going to turn the A light up a third of a stop. I like my A light exposure, but I think my shadows can be a little darker. So what I'm doing now is I'm actually setting my exposure to f8. There we go. So now I've brought my exposure a little bit darker, but I turned up my key light, the softbox, to compensate, but I did not turn up the fill, right? So now we have less fill, right? Right? Any questions? All right, I think we're pretty good here. Okay, so 2 weeks from now, advanced flash. We're going to do pop and blur. We're going to do high speed sync, because people love that. And we're going to talk about multiple exposure with using flash and kind of how to make these things work, how the technology of it, the technique of it, maybe the technology. Right, Adorama rentals. So if you, let's say that you are new to photography, or you need some equipment, or you're not new and you want to try different stuff out, Adorama does have a great rental company. So AdoramaRentals.com, I guess. You can rent the stuff and give it a try. That's usually the best bet. I mean, it's always good to try stuff before you buy it, because you don't really know what you need, and to just buy random gear might not be the best thing. So yeah, try Adorama Rentals. Anything else? Thanks, guys. Erica.
Bye.
Dave. So follow me at Daniel Norton Photographer. Erica is Erica Lynn NYC.
Sure is.
And I'm out.